UFC 225 goes down this coming Saturday, June 9th, 2018 in Chicago, Illinois, and many fight fans believe it is the most stacked pay-per-view event that the UFC is going to put on this entire year. From top to bottom, there are a lot of good fights that I think that you should watch, but let's go into my top 4 right now. Starting with the number 1 fight, which is the main event of the evening, Robert "The Reaper" Whittaker will defend his belt in a rematch against Yoel "The Soldier of God" Romero for the UFC Middleweight Championship of the World. The first fight between these guys won Fight of the Night honors and resulted in a close decision victory for Robert Whittaker, despite the fact that he was competing on one bum leg. Regardless of if that hindered his performance, the stylistic matchup here is ultra intriguing. Romero is an Olympic wrestler with explosive movements and moments with finishing ability. Whittaker has some of the best takedown defense the sport has ever seen, and he finishes people with quick bursts of combinations. Beyond what I've already said, my personal favorite division in the UFC or in mixed martial arts is middleweight, so how could a title fight in that weight class not be on the top of my list? Instead of moving from number 1 to number 2, let's jump down to number 4. Ricardo "The Bully" Lamas versus Mirsad Bektic. Despite losing via first-round knockout in his last fight against Josh Emmett, Ricardo Lamas is one of the absolute best fighters in the featherweight division. He is opportunistic with guillotine chokes like he showed 2 fights ago against Charles "Do Bronx" Oliveira. He is vicious with ground and pound like he showed quite a while back against Eric Koch, and he has experience turning young hype trains away from the top of the rankings like he did against Jason Knight in his last victory. Mirsad Bektic was once hyped as having the potential to be the next George Rush St. Pierre. Added fun fact, Bektic trains with TriStar and recently got some training in with GSP. He has a background in wrestling and has a smothering top game with improving stand-up. However, 2 fights ago he showed a bit of lacking fight IQ when he insisted on grappling with Darren Elkins instead of winning the fight on the feet like he could have done, and ended up getting knocked out in one of the greatest comebacks we've ever seen where Elkins got that victory. For that reason, I think he might dive in on a guillotine against Lamas here. Regardless of if Lamas turns away another young up-and-comer or Bektic regains some momentum with his hype train, this fight will be fun. Number 3 is Alistair "The Ream" Overeem versus Curtis "Razor" Blades. Prior to his title fight against Stipe Miocic, Ream was in talks for being the greatest heavyweight of all time, or at least considered, because he is the former K1 kickboxing world champion, the former Strikeforce heavyweight champion, and former Dream heavyweight champion. If he would have became the UFC heavyweight champion, it would have been hard to ignore his greatness. Despite losing that title fight against Miocic, clearly this man has a lot of accolades, and with 38 MMA victories via knockout or submission, it would be impossible to refer to this man as anything other than highly entertaining. He is getting up there in age though, and the heavyweight division could use some young blood. Cue Curtis "Razor" Blades. He is 27 years old, has only been competing in professional mixed martial arts for 4 years, has only ever lost 1 fight, and is coming off of an incredibly gutsy decision victory over Mark "The Super Simone" Hunt. Although his background is in wrestling and he does have some incredible skills in that department with a highlight reel of high output takedowns, his striking is improving under head coach Elliot Marshall at Elevation Fight Team in Colorado. I think Blades wins this fight here and we get a new title challenger, but no matter what the result is, I am pumped for this one. And number 2, reluctantly, the second best fight to watch at this fight card is the co-main event of the evening between Rafael dos Anjos and Colby Covington. I didn't want to give Covington any press this week, but admittedly, his god-awful trash talk and bump and hump win streak has created some X-Pac heat for me. I really dislike this guy and I want to see him lose, so obviously I'm invested. It's insane to me that this guy is getting a title shot with his best 2 victories being against dated Damian Maia, who can't do anything against wrestlers, and Dong Hyun Kim. Normally, this guy is super boring. Rafael dos Anjos, on the other hand, has won an Of the Night award in 2 of his last 4 fights and is the former UFC lightweight champion of the world. RDA has a suffocating pressure and control game against guys who aren't top-tier defensive wrestlers and possesses a powerful kickboxing arsenal. The problem here is that RDA didn't do well against wrestlers at 155 pounds, so what does that say for this fight here against Covington, who is a top-tier wrestler in the welterweight division? I fully expect Covington to become the interim welterweight champion by winning this fight, and I'm also fully prepared to be pissed off about it. Side note, emotional investment makes watching sports a lot more fun, so even though I dislike Covington and I don't want to see him win here, I'm invested and I'm going to have a lot of fun watching no matter if he does actually get this victory. Let me just remind you that this is my personal list, and if you don't agree with it, I'm fine with that. I'd like to debate you in the comment section down below, or you can tell me what your top 3 or 4 fights that you're going to watch at UFC 225 over on my Twitter account at FlyingBrianJ. Thank you so much for watching the video. Give it a cheeky little thumbs up, and I'll see you on my next one. Namaste.